My name is Jeremy Slone, and I'm an entomologist with the Bartlett Tree Research Lab. I'm here today to talk about environmental stress factors affecting trees. We'll talk a little bit about sunlight, moisture, soil quality, and wind exposure, and how those affect trees differently. So in the central area of the Arboretum here, they have these birches planted, which is a great location for them because they like to have higher sun exposure. These trees tend to have these large arching trunks because it allows them to reach as much sun as possible. Now, birch is an early successional species, which means that it grows fast and does better in environments where it has enhanced sun exposure. That also means that they tend to be shade intolerant and aren't going to grow well in environments where there's a dense overstory. In contrast to the birch, these hemlocks are a more shade-tolerant species, so they don't mind growing below the canopies of the birches above. They also wouldn't mind growing under dense forest canopies where they can be a later successional species. So they do well in the shaded environments, but also are able to grow in more sun-exposed areas, but it will contribute to enhanced stress on the plant. Hemlock woolly adelgid is a significant forest pest of hemlocks along the eastern coast of the United States. It does very well because hemlock grows in shaded environments, and this insect actually prefers to colonize areas of the trees that are more shaded. In areas that receive more sun exposure, you tend not to see very heavy infestations, if at all. Oaks are a later successional species, which means they're growing under conditions where they have a higher overstory canopy. That means that they're going to be tolerant of shady conditions while they're growing. Now, once they're mature, they're better able to tolerate these full sun conditions. And this very mature tree has very broad branching structure above us, which is allowing it to thrive and do quite well. However, this tree is growing next to an impervious surface, a roadway, as well as a heavy pedestrian traffic area. This means that the soil has been compacted and the pore space between the soil particles has been reduced, so water's not able to penetrate as well, and the roots aren't able to push into new growth areas as well either. Now, with impervious surfaces, you also have water runoff that's going to reach into this area and may contribute to excess moisture in the root zone. What we can see here is that there's not a lot of other plants growing directly around the tree, so this more mature tree likely has an extensive root network near the surface here that's inhibiting other plants from growing as well. The extensive root network that's probably absorbing most of the water that's available in the upper surface. Trees need adequate moisture to grow and thrive, however, too much moisture can be a significant problem. When trees are exposed to excess moisture below ground, this creates a very anaerobic environment, and the roots start to decline. Under these conditions, roots are unable to absorb oxygen, and as a result of the declining root mass, you actually start to see symptoms of stress throughout the entire canopy of the tree. Now, the cypress tree behind me is actually adapted to growing in quite moist soils, so next to river banks or in swampy areas. And they develop what's called knees, and it's little protrusions above the ground that allow them to get oxygen from above ground when their roots below ground are not able to. So water accumulation at the base of this hill likely also influences nutrient levels. So as the water is flowing down this way, it may be leaching nutrients out of the soil. And there are certain nutrients and elements that are necessary for trees to grow and thrive. And in an absence of these nutrients, trees exhibit signs of stress, which can sometimes be easily diagnosable. Wind speed is another important factor which may be contributing to plant stress. Trees that are used for screening or trees that are growing on the outer edges of stands have greater wind exposure than those on the interior. This means that this excess wind can contribute to foliar desiccation or even alter the structure of the upper canopy. Wherever the wind is pushing may cause foliage to grow that way. This also may lead to adaptations at the base of the tree, which may help with stability and holding the tree in place to prevent uprooting. So as we've mentioned, plants vary in their light needs and their shade tolerance. However, extreme fluctuations in either temperature or sun exposure can lead to physical damage on the trunk itself. So when the cells inside the plant are particularly cold or very hot, this can affect metabolism, but also the shrinking and contracting can lead to physical breaks in the bark, which can lead to secondary invaders getting in and contributing to further stresses on the plant. Thanks for watching Unit 3, Environmental Stress Factors Affecting Trees. We hope this was informative. If you'd like more information, please check out the other modules that are also available.